Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Here's the thing. The way that right-wing politics works in this country is that the main purveyors of it are constantly testing, sniffing out new messages to find what works best to motivate and agitate their shrinking base. They are like truffle pigs for reactionary backlash. We saw this with Donald Trump. We see it with the hosts of Fox News, who will always follow the base where it leads them. And now we are seeing this play out in those folks' mobilization against the vaccine. It seems hard to believe, but it was not always this way. Here are the hosts of Fox and Friends back in May talking about getting a vaccine.
I understand there are people that have vaccine hesitancy, but we all three are vaccinated. And I will tell you, when I got it, it was just like, okay,
a relief.
Now, exactly. Yeah. Now I know I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to die from it if I do get it. There's a small percentage of a chance that you could get it.
Right. But it's the people who have not gotten the shot, which, ultimately they're the ones who are in peril.
Good for them. Seriously, that's a good message. I am glad they told everyone. Hopefully, some people went out and got the vaccine after seeing that. I told you all when I got the vaccine, shared my celebration dance. Rachel Maddow talked about getting the vaccine. A lot of my colleagues and friends and just people across the country posting pictures getting the vaccine. I've actually loved that content. I personally feel comfortable talking about it. I was desperate to get it, relieved when I got it. I really think it is protecting me and my family. It's afforded a peace of mind and also the ability to go back to a semblance of normal. Looking back now, it's hard to conceive of that same Fox and Friends clip from May happening now. And that is because as the Republican conservative base continues to view the vaccine through the lens of the roiling backlash politics that's being cultivated and encouraged by right-wing media, by the Fox and Friends hosts, most notably Tucker Carlson, who night in, night out is doing things like comparing the vaccination effort to eugenics and forced sterilization. Now, again, this is all being done with a tremendous degree of bad faith because Tucker Carlson will not say whether he's been vaccinated or not. Ben Smith of the New York Times tried to find out, just, asking the question, texting to ask whether he'd gotten the vaccine. This was Tucker's reply, quote, "When was the last time you had sex with your wife? In what position? We can trade intimate details." I'm going to take that as a really weird yes, I guess. But really, what's going on here? What are you hiding? People talk about this all the time. Just ask your colleagues on Fox and Friends. You can just say it. It's not scary. Instead, the right has started to build up this cult of privacy and personal choice just around the vaccine, which I will note is in direct opposition to their position on abortion in every way. And they've also followed up with this coy just asking questions, flirtation, cultivation of anti-vax feeling that is going to lead to more unnecessary death, and it is already doing it. The most recent study says that the accelerated vaccine schedule under the Biden administration saved nearly 300,000 lives. 300,000 lives. Take a second to just take that in. We lost 600,000 people to COVID. Some number of that was entirely unnecessary. Accelerating vaccination saved 300,000 lives. As Dr. Ashish Jha, the dean of Brown University School of Public Health, has pointed out, we also have evidence of the benefits of vaccinations borne out in two states, South Dakota and Vermont. And they demonstrate perfectly the stark difference between the states that have managed to fight back and vaccinate and suppress the virus and those that did not. Dr. Jha points out that Vermont and South Dakota are actually quite similar. Both have slightly older white rural populations, comparable median incomes. They both have Republican governors. So this is not partisan. These days, they look super similar on current infections. Both states are in a pretty good place right now these days. But he explains it is how they got to that place that matters. Vermont has vaccinated more of its population than any other state. Nearly 3/4 of the population has gotten at least one dose. South Dakota is right in the middle of states at 51%. But because South Dakota and Governor Kristi Noem followed the Donald Trump get out in the battlefield herd immunity route, and Vermont from the beginning has followed the fight the virus and then get vaccinated route, the two states ended up in a sort of similar place in terms of case resistance, but at the cost of many, many more lives of South Dakotans who did not have to die. Look at this chart. Nearly 6 times as many people in South Dakota died of COVID as in Vermont. It could have been that curve on the bottom. They didn't need to die, but they did because of choices that their leaders made. Right now, one of the biggest challenges in the U.S. Is the 20 to 35 age group, young people who are inclined to feel invincible. Okay? We know they're lagging in vaccination. Many of these young people go to colleges. And in order to get into those colleges, there are all kinds of things you can and can't do in college, right? Requiring admitted students to do things before they come to college is part of what going to college is. Vaccinations, requiring them, as many universities have done, is not crazy. It's not out of line with a lot of other things. And for a minute, just consider where COVID is most happy. COVID loves settings with lots of people crowded indoors, talking closely to each other, going to bars and clubs, getting drunk, maybe not being super sanitary, and basically I've just described a college dorm. Last year, we saw a ton of college outbreaks across the country. In fact, there's lots of evidence suggesting those outbreaks then spread to the greater community as fall started last year. I want to play you this incredible snapshot of the problem from Miami University of Ohio last fall.
How many people are in the house?
Like 10 of them just came by, but they're leaving. They're going somewhere else. So, 20.
20 people inside? I've never seen this before. There's an input on the computer that you tested positive for COVID?
Yes.
When was this?
This was a week ago.
Are you supposed to be quarantining?
Yeah, that's why I'm at my house.
Do you have other people here and you're positive for COVID? You see the problem?
Yeah. I mean, they were honest.
How many other people have COVID?
They all do.
Everybody has it?
Respond with EMS 6150 Fairfield Road, 40-year-old female.
That's what we're trying to prevent,
Yeah, I
man.
know.
We want to keep this
I
town
know what
open.
the issue is.
That's why I was staying home.
One call for
I just walked down, too.
I know, but there were probably 7 or 8 people that left your house
Yeah.
when you told them to leave. So you're not quarantining if you're mixing with other people.
One call 40, okay?
So everybody here has it.
Clear direct.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, officer, I know. That's why I was having a house party in my house. That's how I was quarantining. So, all this to say, if there is one place you would want to mandate vaccines, it would be on college campuses, right? That seems pretty reasonable. And yet, there's already a proactive right-wing movement in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Republican governors in Texas, Georgia, Arizona have ordered public universities not to mandate vaccinations of students. When Indiana University announced in the spring it would require all students and employees to be vaccinated, 20 Republican legislators lobbied the governor to block the move. Mitch Daniels, the president of Purdue University, also in Indiana, former Republican governor of the state, last April, when the U.S. pandemic was still in its first wave, he was the one who was very proudly announcing they were going to open in person in the fall. Mitch Daniels announced his university and more than 45,000 students will not require vaccines in the fall. Now, I don't know how that's going to turn out. I hope, well, maybe people are vaccinating already. But again, the principle here is extremely hard to determine, particularly since this defensive private bodily autonomy is not exactly a watchword among conservative Republicans when it comes to the extremely high stakes, intimate personal health decision of a woman's pregnancy. So it sure seems like the principle is essentially just backlash politics. We perceive that liberals are trying to get you vaccinated, which is, by the way, not true. So don't take the vaccine. And it doesn't have to be this way. It has not been this way for lots and lots of people, tens of millions of people of all different ideological stripes who voted for all different kinds of people who I probably don't see eye to eye to on anything. And that's fine. It's a big country. People disagree. Who've gotten the vaccine? Just look at the hosts on Fox and Friends. Again, this is an active choice by an almost incalculably cynical set of political actors to harness the power of backlash politics in pursuit of more sickness and more death.